We need to talk about Tottenham Hotspur because Tottenham fans, your club is lying to you. Your ownership is lying to you. And your manager is not being backed. Does that mean your manager could be sacked? Because I can't understand how Tottenham had an injury crisis that they've known about for months. And we are 19 days into the January transfer window, and there's not one new signing coming in. Despite the club saying they're fully behind Ange, they're lying. They're absolutely not behind Ange Postecoglou. And the only reason I can think of is this Daniel Levy being tight because there's a few market opportunities out there, or are they just going to sack him and they think, why back him? Why spend any more money? So in today's video, we need to talk about Tottenham again. And I know I did a video on my third channel talking about Tottenham the other day, talking about Ange. But I want to talk about Tottenham again. I want to talk about the Everton game, my thoughts on that. But I want to talk about the bigger picture at Tottenham, what the problems are, and could Ange be getting sacked? Because there is, unreliable sources saying he could be sacked. But unreliable is guesswork. They're looking for clicks. They're looking for clickbait. But what I will say is there's definitely a twist today. I saw when you were 3-0 down to Everton, the head loss on Twitter at halftime. A lot of people that were quite positive about Ange saying, you know what, if he's sacked, fair enough. And look, Ange is not blameless. Ange needs to do better. Ange, it has been stubborn with tactics at times. He took so long to play Spence, who looks like the best fullback. Bergvall took a while to get going. But if you think Ange is the biggest problem at Tottenham, you're wrong. And I'm a Manchester United fan. The biggest problem goes to those above Ange. You've not won a trophy in how many years? I don't know. It's been a while. Ange has been there 18 months, 2 years. He's not the problem at this club. The problem goes beyond Ange. And I'm saying this as a Man United fan, I know. Now, Tottenham and Man United have similarities in the sense of the ownership. Now, the difference between you and us is we do spend a lot more money than you, but we're equally as bad as you in the transfer market when it comes to spending money, when it comes to selling players. And that's one area of football that you need to be good at right now. And you guys aren't good at that. Although I do think your investment in the summer was actually quite good, but it was very futuristic. And I don't think you addressed all your problems. So we're going to talk about Tottenham. We're going to talk about Tottenham versus Everton. I want to talk about Mikey Moore. I want to talk about what's going on with Son. I want to talk about the real problem at Tottenham Hotspur. Why your club is lying to the fans. Why the whole situation at Tottenham is a disgrace. And this is me as a Man United fan looking at it, because I've not seen an injury crisis like this. This is like Newcastle of last year when people were saying Eddie Howe should be sacked, and look at Newcastle now. And then we'll talk about will Ange be sacked, because there is a feeling that Ange could be sacked, because why aren't they backing him? Is it because they're going to get rid of him? But who's going to replace him? So this is sackable form. I don't think Ange Postecoglou should be sacked. Because you're not, realistically, if you sack Ange, you're not exactly going to get Iriola coming in and walking into Spurs next week who's a good manager. If you sack Ange, there's not a manager out there that I think comes to Tottenham right now that could improve you. And even if you do get a good manager, and look at Ruben Amorim taking over from Ten Hag. Man United haven't gone up levels because they've recruited for Ten Hag, they've brought a completely different manager in. And you have a squad that just isn't available. Now, Ange should be doing better, and Ange is getting things wrong, and Ange has been tactically outclassed in games. Do not get me wrong. But I don't think it's a case of sack the manager and Tottenham massively improved. They need players to stay fit. And they didn't back Ange in the summer. The only signing they got that wasn't a teenager was Solanke. Solanke should have come the year before when they lost Kane. So you just brought in a load of teenagers. And the same players that got injured again. Because as soon as Mickey van der Ven gets injured, Tottenham's season seems to derail. But I want to just give you my thoughts on Tottenham versus Everton, because I think this is going to link to what I'm going to talk about. And what I want to say is about Tottenham is injuries haven't helped. The Van der Ven injury, but there's Vicario, there's Romero, Solanke's a key player. When I look at Tottenham right now, Jed Spence is stepping up. Jed Spence was the only guy really looking to make something happen in that first half versus Everton, get forward. This is the guy that Ange wouldn't give a sniff to for like a year and a half. And he's stepping up and he's giving everything, because he knows the minute he messes up, he's back on the bench. Because Ben Davies is, I think, fit again. He shouldn't be, but Ange had his favouritism. Mikey Moore stepped up today, 17 minutes. Was it 2 assists? Really good ball in. Yeah, brilliant today. Showed up Son. Did more in 17 minutes than Son, who's experienced player, done in that game versus Everton. Bergvall and Gray have stepped up massively lately. The young players, or the players that hadn't got looking from Ange, like Bergvall and Spence earlier on, seem to be the ones that in this last 2 months are the only ones giving it for Tottenham. Son is known for being great 1v1. 1v1, there's no player you want more than Son. And he passed the ball to Pickford today. He scores that. It's 3-3. Ange gets a point. A point. I mean, you want 3 points versus Everton, but a draw is better than a loss. It's not Ange's fault that Son isn't the Son he used to be. He's aging. He needs to be moved on. I look at Tottenham, and Gray, Bergwall are more of the future, okay? And they're great young players, and I play them now because they at least got that desire. But they're teenagers. You can't be relying on 3 teenagers to help you out. You've got Vuskovic coming in. It's very exciting. I think what Tottenham are building is incredibly exciting. Where are the experienced players? Why aren't they stepping up? Kulusevski, brilliant finish today. This season, Kulusevski, been really good. Solanke, been very, very good. He was missed today. His work rate, his everything was missed today. But Kulusevski, Solanke, Van de Ven. If someone said which 3 players are key to Ange Postecoglou, they are the players. Because I think when one of those players is missing, and you had 2 today, you notice it with Tottenham. Because, Bentancur's had injuries, suspensions, been hit and miss, but I do rate Bentancur. Sarr, I think, hasn't been as good as he can be. I know how good Sarr can be, but I think that's due to the lack of balance around him and him being the most experienced midfielder and still a non-experienced player. Basuma's very hit and miss. You don't know which Basuma you're going to get. Porro's dropped off a cliff lately, but I think that's because he's been overplayed because he's the only defender in Ange's favoured back 5 that's fit. So there's an over-reliance on him. Brennan Johnson's had a purple patch here and there, but he's more someone that gets on the end of crosses and could score a goal. And if you're not really creating or having that driving threat going forward, what's the point? Werner is not good enough and he's injured. Richarlison, if he was fit, at least gives you someone to rotate Solanke with. Son is nowhere near his best. I look at it and I think Romero, Van de Ven, Kulusevski, Solanke are those 4 Tottenham players right now that seem to be holding Ange Ball together. And when 3 of them are out, the impact is there. Because Kulusevski went central is so key to Ange Ball. Players like Maddison today, he's not had loads of opportunities. He didn't step up. Moore did. The youngsters are the ones stepping up for Ange. The experienced players are not performing. There's an injury crisis and nobody's taking leadership at Tottenham Hotspur. And I look at Tottenham and I look at your lineup, to be honest, versus Everton, and it's just not that good. If you want me to be brutally honest, it's not that good. Dragerson, I don't think he's good enough. Archie Gray, fantastic player, fantastic potential, but you're playing a midfielder who's 18 years of age at centre-back. Lucas Bergwall, fantastic talent, 18 years of age. He's been really good lately. Mikey Moore coming off the bench had to be the game changer, 17 years of age. Pedro Porro's not been near his best this season. Udogi's been unfit, but Jed Spence has stepped up brilliantly well, and fair play to him. James Maddison, I thought actually had a good start to the season, a bit underrated, but he's not stepped up here. Brennan Johnson's a bit of a purple patch player. Werner isn't good enough. And I do feel for Ange a bit, because he clearly needs backing. That squad isn't good enough. And with the injuries, he needs backing. But Tottenham are lying, because they're saying that Ange retains the full backing within Tottenham and understanding of the situation he's dealing with right now. Club are believed to be trying to put right structures and people around him. They're lying to you. Tottenham fans, your club is lying to you because they're not backing your manager. You've been in an injury crisis for 2 months. We saw it happen last year. You really good start under Ange. Van de Ven gets injured. Everyone else gets injured. Wheels fall off. It's happened again this season. Van de Ven gets injured. Wheels fall off. Okay, you went for Colin Moali. That would have been a good addition. But if they're really backing Ange, why aren't they looking at maybe that left centre-back, left back, or even that winger? Mikey Moore's back. That's going to be a big difference. Spence coming at left back. He can do a job. But they've not backed Ange. They've not brought in someone that could play on the wing. They've not backed Ange. And maybe there's someone you could sell. Maybe there's someone, actually, you look at Tottenham, Basuma. I mean, James Maddison's out of favour right now, but I do rate James Maddison. Could you get a bit of money for him and invest that elsewhere? You have to look at it in that way. There's rumours of Romero leaving with someone who I think is a great centre-back. Tottenham have got to show some backing to Ange, and they're lying to their fans because I think any fan can be Ange out if they want, because I think it was not good enough and the form you're in is not good enough. But I will say to any Tottenham fan that is Ange out, it isn't Ange gets sacked, a new manager comes in and you're miraculously better. That's not going to happen. You're building for Ange incredibly slowly. There is some good young players there. There is still a project to be excited about. And when everybody's fit, Ange plays good football. He does play good football. And the question for Tottenham is, you got to sack Ange now because it's not good enough, or you got to back Ange. Now, in my opinion, I'd back Ange. Because unless you've got a world-class manager or a top manager saying, I want to come to Tottenham and I'll come right now, what's the point in sacking another manager? Because look at what Nuno's doing at Nottingham Forest, for example. Ange, for me, needs a winger and someone that could play left centre-back slash left-back be cover. Dragusin is not good enough centre-back cover. I look at Eddie Howe last season, I look at the injury crisis, I look at everything going on, and I think Tottenham are in a very similar position to that. So that's why I have a bit of sympathy with Ange. Iriola, he's not going to come to Tottenham. Iriola would be a great replacement. He's not going to come to Tottenham. It will maybe in the summer, but not now. I think he could come in the summer, but not now. So what's the point of sacking Ange? Because would any top manager want to work under Daniel Levy, Enoch? You know, it seems to be a curse of managers, Tottenham. Ange hasn't been backed. He's dealt with an injury crisis for 2 months. They've had time to prepare for the transfer window. And Tottenham, and 20 days into the transfer window now, tomorrow, and they've not done anything. And the fact they've not done anything says to me, could they sack Ange? Because why are they so reluctant to do anything? Despite saying they're going to back Ange, are they? Now, Ange isn't blameless. You have to beat Everton, but the team he did at Everton wasn't great. There wasn't great options on the bench. It wasn't a great team. And there was limited options. But you do expect more. But I look at Ange, and I look at Tottenham. The only signing they got that wasn't a teenager, because Odebear's a teenager, Berg was a teenager, Gray's a teenager, Solanke in summer, who should have been signed the year before when Kane left, by the way. Should have been signed the year before. Didn't get cover for Van de Ven, which surely should have been a priority. Signing a top winger, signing that cover for Van de Ven, who could maybe play left back like a Hatter or someone, got to be the priority. You look at Cardozo for DM, move Basuma on. Maybe someone that's going to be back up to Solanke because Richarlison can't stay fit. You know? Ange needs help, because I look at that Tottenham squad and I look at the players that are available right now, and it's not great. Son, Maddison, who were 2 key players at Tottenham when you were in great form last year, last season, they've not shown up. You're looking at Mikey Moore, the 17-year-old, to get 2 assists and save your day. Now, Ange is stubborn. He can get things tactically wrong, and to go 3-0 down to Everton at half-time, there's no excuse for that. Everton outclassed Tottenham. They out-controlled the game, and Ange got things wrong tactically. Everton had failed to score in 5 or 7 games. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had failed to score in like 16 games. Enter Tottenham. They absolutely help out the opposition. And Ange has to take some blame. And Ange has to take some fault. And Ange Postecoglou is not perfect, and he is getting things wrong. But I just think there's bigger problems inside Tottenham. And I think it's the people above Ange. I'm saying this as a Man United fan who was very patient with Ten Hag. I will be very patient with Amorim, because I know that we go through manager after manager after manager, rebuild after rebuild after rebuild. There's only about 4 players that were playing under Ralph Rangnick that are at Man United right now. And we're still crap. Because I know the people above the managers have failed them. And I think that's what's going on at Tottenham. Because one of the reasons I'm a bit backing of Ange and maybe more positive about it as a United fan is because when everybody was fit, you were playing good football. You played us off the park. You beat us 3-0 earlier in the season. You were having a really good period in like October time. And as soon as the injury swing hits you, you fall off. It's not like Ten Hag, who even when everyone was fit was playing crap football. Ange was playing good football when everyone's fit. And you have a great young squad. Kulusevski's only 24, Van de Ven's 23, Udogie 22, Kingsley 21. But Odebear would be very useful right now if you're talking a profile. He's been injured. Bergvall, Gray, Moore. There's so much exciting talent at Tottenham. This is not even including the Vuskovic that's going to come in. It's a young squad. It's a talented squad. But you can't rely on loads of teenagers to bail you out. They need the experienced players around them to step up. And I do think, with everybody being fit and the youngsters improving and Ange moulding them in, I think Tottenham could have a good year next year and be like Newcastle under Ange Postecoglou. I do. But I also can understand the form's not good enough. I could understand if he's sacked 15th in the league. Your goal difference says you don't deserve to be that low down. But the fact that United are 13th and Tottenham are 15th, we're in quite similar positions right now. None of our clubs have done something in January, despite clearly needing that backing in January. It's absolutely crazy. Man City have the first bit of trouble they've ever had, and they spend £200 million. And it's the difference between ambition and owners. And while Ange is getting things wrong, and while Ange definitely needs to take some blame, and while the youngsters at Tottenham are excited, they've got an exciting future, they need to get their recruitment spot on, and they need to go out and spend some money, and they need to become good at selling. Because I still think there's a project there with Ange. I still think it could be an Eddie Howe type thing, where if everybody stays fit, look at Newcastle now compared to last season. The Tottenham fans are being lied to by their clubs because your manager's not been backed. Money may have been spent, but the fact that Solanke was your only signing that wasn't a teenager in summer, wasn't a teenager, and you should have got him the year before, your manager has not been backed because that's an injury crisis worse than I've seen before. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Bye.